Battlehosts. Be a better gamer, build a better community.
Welcome to Battlehosts, a podcast website dedicated to helping you become a better 40k gamer and to build a better community of players. I'm your host, Mark, and with me tonight is Colin.
Hey, how's it going?
If you like what you hear, subscribe to us on iTunes to catch all the latest episodes. You can also follow us on Facebook under The Battlehosts. If you'd like to support The Battlehosts for as little as $1 a month, please visit patreon.com/TheBattlehosts. If you join for $3 a month, you can get access to our Discord chat where we discuss all things related to the hobby. So, today we're going to talk about casual and narrative play in 40k. So, Colin, we had some friends come up for the Boise Cup.
Yep.
And they are primarily what they would call themselves narrative players.
Right.
And we had kind of a discussion afterwards, and this is Brian from Splintermine has been, he's been doing several episodes now about kind of the differences between casual and sort of competitive play. And I think his eyes were kind of open to competitive play, and then he's comparing it to what he's used to.
Right.
And it's been an interesting question about, can somebody who's been a competitive player kind of go back into casual play, and what does it offer players that, like ourselves who've been used to playing match play, competitive kind of games?
Yeah, and it's interesting because he's talking about Boise Cup 2020.
Yeah.
So there's something there. It's not just, hey, if I started playing competitively, can I go back and play narratively? But for him, it's, does match play, does competitive play scratch an itch that he enjoys playing too?
Yeah.
So there's often in this discussion, it's kind of usually presented as like a duality. Like there's no, what am I looking for? Binary.
Yeah.
It's like a binary choice.
Yeah.
You're either a casual player or you're a competitive player.
Yeah.
And I think something that we're all trying to do is there room for both? And how do you do both?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the discussion for this podcast. And we're going to talk a little bit like, army lists and play styles and some of the attitude differences between the two. But we're also going to chat about, I have an interview with Dave from miniwargaming.com, who is going to run a Gorkamorka event.
Yes.
And it is one of the more unique events I've ever heard of to sort of focus on casual play.
And Gorkamorka is awesome. That is in my probably top 3 games of all time.
Really?
Oh my God. Like I have the original rule books. If you ever want to play, you can play. But back, when I was younger, when I was, 10, 11, 12, I was converting up all the, little trikes. And I mean, you can convert anything. It had rules, whatever crazy thing you wanted to slap together.
Okay.
You could throw on the field and it would have rules. And like, if you're moving your truck and one of the guys falls off, he takes damage and you have to leave him there. And,
that's nice.
So everything had to be modeled on.
Yeah.
Like if you made an upgrade, you had to add to this like painted model. I mean, I was 11, so it wasn't like, breaking up a centerpiece model or something. But it's loose and it's fun and it's, Mad Max with orcs. Yeah. And it's just a really cool game. Yeah. Really, really cool game.
Yeah, and that is a totally cool casual kind of thing. So we'll chat about that and also just kind of because Mini Wargaming has long been, they've tried to put out good quality content that is more of a friendlier kind of a game, although there's obviously some strong elements to it. But we'll chat a little bit about what he has done and what his company has done to kind of keep it light and casual. Yeah, and then we'll just chat about our own experiences and kind of what our plans are. So we have some big plans, and also you have a Patreon to talk about as well.
I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about it real quick. Your Patreon. We'll tease it.
Okay.
Give the website.
So the website is Legalize Mischief, and it's one word on. So patreon.com/Legalize Mischief.
Yep.
We just launched beginning of September.
Nice.
And it's going phenomenally. I couldn't be happier with how we started, and it's just producing good content and carrying the momentum forward.
Sweet.
So.
All right, we'll get more to that later. Before we do, let's hear a word from our sponsor, DGT.
We all love Warhammer 40k, but sometimes games just take too long. Using a game timer is the best way to make sure games finish and for both players to get an equal amount of time. Check out the Easy Game Timer from DGT, manufacturers and designers of the timers officially sanctioned by the International Chess Federation. It's simple to set up and customize, and your settings are saved when it's turned off. It's easy to use with a large moving lever for changing turns and a clear digital readout. It's the most affordable and high-quality game timer on the market and is the choice of most 40k events. Whether you want to practice before a big event or you just want to be a better player, the Easy Game Timer from DGT is the perfect game timer for your 40K events. The DGT Easy Game Timer is available from many online retailers. Wholesale pricing is also available for tournament organizers. Check these fine clocks out at dgtnorthamerica.com. Speed up your game and improve your play with the Easy Game Timer from DGT.
All right, so with me is Dave from miniwargaming.com. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I'm doing great. So we wanted to have you on the show to kind of talk a little bit about casual play, but also just kind of introduce yourself and kind of tell us what's going on with mini wargaming.
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Dave. I am one of the co-owners of miniwargaming.com, which is also a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And we've been very fortunate in that for some reason, the gods of chaos have allowed us to be the most subscribed YouTube channel for miniature wargaming. I don't know how it worked out that way. Maybe it's a glitch in the warp, but we've certainly been really fortunate. We recognize that we are in a good position to have a voice in the community, and we're very grateful for the support from all the viewers. We produce video battle reports mostly. There's also certain other video types that we create, like narrative battle reports that focus on Warhammer 40K and also Age of Sigmar and a little bit of 30K as well, with the occasional specialist game that's covered. Yeah. It's about 95% Games Workshop games that we do. On occasion, we cover some other games as well.
Great.
And we also have a paid subscription site on our website called the Mini Wargaming Vault. And that's where wargamers can pay to see exclusive content. So they basically get more of it. And so in the vault, there are thousands of videos. There's more than 5,000 videos in the vault. We've been doing it for a number of years, 12 years in total. In total, we have more than 10,000 videos that we've created over the years. Just started with myself and my business partner, Matthew Glanfield. Now we have a team of content producers that produce the videos with us. And we produce a lot, at least 4 videos a day. So it's a good amount. It's a good amount of content. So I would say it's impossible for any one person to consume all of the content that we've created. But it really depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Right. If you like bat reps, then we've got something for you. And if you like certain armies, depends on the army that you collect. There's a content producer for you.
Yeah. And at this point, like you said, you have so many videos because you've been around for quite a long time.
Yeah, close to 12 years now.
Yeah.
In December, it'll be 12 years.
Yeah. And you say that you talk about the Chaos Gods, but I think the Chaos Gods do favor good quality content. So, a lot of it has to do with the fact that you've been doing it at such a high level for a long time.
Yeah, I think there's many different factors to one's success, and I think that is certainly something to. There's many different things. Like, for example, when we first started, we didn't make videos the same way. We had to kind of grow into the style that we make our videos. At first, it was recap battle reports.
Yeah.
At the end of every turn, we just kind of recap what happened, and that was it. And then there was a request for showing every single dice roll. So we started doing that, because actually before we did that, we had not seen that before. We saw recaps, but we didn't see every die roll bat reps. And so we tried it, and the viewership liked it.
Yeah.
So we just continue with that. We didn't make any more recap bat reps anymore.
Yeah. And you don't show everything. So you must at this point know when to kind of cut and when to sort of move forward with. You cut out some of the tedious stuff, but all the good dice rolls are there, and even some of the movement is there.
That's correct. Yeah. Like, for example, if you have like 30 Hormigons, we'll show you moving maybe the first 3. We'll cut it, and then the last 3 will show. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, watching 30 Gaunts, I think you get the idea.
You get it. You get it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
Now, and you guys have a brand new space. Tell us about that.
We do, yeah. It's called the Mini Wargaming Bunker, which is located in Welland, Ontario, Canada, which is about 30 minutes from the New York border, just where Buffalo is, where the Buffalo airport is. About 20 minutes from Niagara Falls. And this facility, which is 11,300 square feet, we have our filming studios. We have 6 studios in total. In addition to this, we have hotel rooms. that people can come and stay overnight and battle with us during the day and sleep during the night. And there's also a big gaming hall that can house 60 people. And we can host tournaments there, which we do and have done. And
nice.
There's also a gaming store at the front. And we've partnered with another company, Max Aggression Gaming, and they service the customers that we bring in from all over the world.
Yeah.
We've had guests from all over. Name the continent, we literally have had guests from all over. With the exception of Antarctica, we haven't had that yet. There still is yet to be a wargamer from there.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's probably a research station down there somewhere. You know, they might make their way back to the mainland. You know, there's still time.
There's still time. Yeah.
So so everything sounds like okay, that's cool. But the hotel rooms, what was the inspiration for that?
Well, it was about 4 years ago. I had this thought come into my mind, and the thought was, you know, because we have guests come from all over, participate in the videos,
sure,
and they would stay in nearby hotels. And so I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we partnered with an Airbnb, and you know, our guests could stay there?
Yeah.
And then the thought kind of progressed into, what if this Airbnb was themed like our filming studios?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it kind of give the wargamers a better experience, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, what if we owned the Airbnb? Wouldn't that be better? Because then we have kind of full control over what happens and what goes on. And then it organically grew into, well, what if that Airbnb was attached to us somehow? What if the rooms were here?
Yeah.
Right? And so like every single guest that came in, I would ask this question to them, like, what do you think if there were, you know, rooms right here? You could stay here instead of a hotel. And that was a no-brainer. Everyone's like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And so I talked to the landlord of our old place and looked into buying the building, but it didn't work out. But fast forward 2 years, and I tell a good friend of mine, Hunter White is his name, and he said, oh, Dave, that's a great idea. When are we going to do this? And I thought, whoa, when are we going to do this? What does that mean? That sounds awesome. I'm not sure what it means yet, but let's explore this. So that night, we go on the computer and we look at different properties here in Wellington. This is actually the building that we're in right now, happened to be one of the properties that we looked at, and he became the investor for the bunker project.
Oh, nice.
So it took 2 years to renovate and construct this facility, wargaming facility, which is a combination of a wargaming retreat, wargaming studios, gaming center. It's a mecca for wargaming. If you're into the hobby, it is a must stop.
Yeah.
It is a bucket list item. You must come to the mini wargaming bunker. It's phenomenal.
How much? So I've seen the videos, and some of the designs you did were just amazing. I mean, is this something is it your talent? Did you design this? Is this do you have like a background in like stagecraft or that kind of thing, or is this something you self-taught, or because the level of carpentry's got to be? I mean, it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Well, first off, I think I would be remiss if I didn't give credit to the over 100 people that it took to do it. The overall vision was certainly my vision, but the execution of specifics was a combination of the bunker crew, which was Vito, Drewski, and Mike, and then there was also Tucker Construction, a local company that did a lot of the practical construction, as well as building the tournament hall. But the overall vision was certainly something that was near and dear to my heart, and I was very specific. Had a very specific idea in my mind of what I wanted executed, and it certainly worked well with my chaotic OCD.
Yeah,
because, and he's the perfect business partner. In this, we would certainly complement each other very well.
Yeah.
Before we started the project, I asked him. I said, "Okay, so what kind of input do you want on the building here? What do you care about? What do you want to say in?" And he said, "Dave, as long as I can control the temperature in the room, hot or cold, that's all I care about." And so I said, "So the aesthetics." I asked him, so you don't care, I have free reign on the aesthetics. He's like, "Yep, go nuts." Excuse me. Nice. And so I'm like, okay, that's awesome. That's really cool.
And you guys, now that I think about it too, I mean, you're one of the very few bat reps that brings people in. So you have this relationship with some of your viewers that you'll have them come on and they'll play games with you. I mean, how did you start to kind of start that? Because oftentimes most bat rep producers have kind of a tight cast they kind of keep. They don't usually invite other people outside to play, but you guys have always been really open to that. Yeah.
Well, when we first started 12-ish years ago, we would grab from our local gaming club. It was a pool of gamers, kind of like how the other channels are.
Yeah.
The majority of the other channels. So that's how we started. And as the channel gained more traction and got more views from different people, at times we would receive requests for people to battle us from out of town, right? And sometimes it would be a couple hours away or 4 hours away. And it kind of slowly, organically grew into a lot of guests, a lot of the time. Yeah. And so now we actually book 6 months in advance for our guests because we have so many that come in, which is crazy. Yeah. It's just absolutely crazy to think that it's grown to a point where that's happening, right? Because at first we would actually put up posts on Facebook and on YouTube saying, "Hey, we need guests to come in so we can make more videos." So we would do that from time to time. And in every single video, we would say, "Come battle us. Go to miniwargaming.com/challenge if you want to come in," right? So after doing that for, I guess now a few thousand videos, it's in every single video. Yeah. And now it's just a thing. People know that if they want to come in and make the pilgrimage to battle us, come here, they know that they can.
And they have a place to stay, which makes sense why you would go with the Airbnb route.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What so there's the immersion on the table, there's the models, there's the table. What inspired you to kind of take that beyond just the tabletop? Because you must have looked around at this room and said, I can do something here. But what kind of inspired that? Why did you decide to let's build the environment, the entire environment that we play in is going to be part of this play experience?
Oh, good question. Yes, I remember I had a very specific thought about that one time, and it was back when Beasts of War, who are now on tabletop, before they were Beasts of War, and I remember when they came into the scene, they kind of exploded onto the scene when they came in, and it was like, wow, look at these guys, they're really professional looking, and they make really good quality videos, and they have this nice studio where it's just really clean and crisp, and they have a nice backdrop, and at the time we had kind of granny curtains and kind of makeshift tables, and it wasn't great, right? So that inspired me to kind of up the ante a little bit. Yeah. And I thought, I don't even remember where the thought came from. It was just, it kind of started there as a seed of a thought. And then I thought, you know what? Wouldn't it be cool if we had a studio, but it was decorated like a Zone Mortalis? And it was on all 4 walls. No matter what wall you were looking at, when you were filming the opponent in the background, 360, no matter which way you're pointing the camera, you are still immersed in this studio. I think that would be super cool if we could do that, if we could achieve that somehow. And so that's what we did. We built the first studio. It was a thought in my mind. I had somebody else build it. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but it was close. Yeah. And so from there, and this is the old studios that I'm talking about right now. The old studios, from there, I thought, you know what? Why don't I try building it myself and see if I can get it kind of closer to what I have in my mind? And so I built an orc studio. That one was super quick and easy. It took about 2 weeks to build it, construct it, to have it painted. They had the electrician came in. I said, okay, slap the wires on the walls. Don't put it straight. And he looked at me with a funny look and said, it'll make sense later. Trust me. And so when he came in after, he's like, oh, okay, now I see what you're trying to do. And then the third studio was built. It was like a ruined, like a typical Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard ruined kind of landscape that any of those games could fit in. And then the last one was a forge. So it was a fantasy themed studio. Yeah. I blowtorched a lot of pieces of wood for that just to age the wood, and got a real anvil. And so I really wanted to make it immersive for the people that came in.
And so now, fast forward to the bunker, you said 6 rooms, and they all have different themes.
That's correct. Yeah. And so as much work that went into building the original 4 studios, we rebuilt all those 6 ones. Like, we just built them all from scratch. Nice. There weren't any portions that we reused, unfortunately. Yeah. There was the orc studio that I actually repurposed in the orc bedroom upstairs, but that's the only exception.
Very nice.
Because orcs are they're not picky. They slap stuff up, and they believe it'll work a certain way. It's going to work a certain way. So that's the beauty of orcs. But the 6 studios. We have let's see, let's go in order here. We have Underhive, so we have a Necromunda themed one. Yep. And of course, we have an orc themed one. That is the quintessential 40K themed studio, in my opinion. Yeah. It doesn't matter what army you play. You play in the orc studio, you can have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Age of Sigmar themed. We also have a steampunk themed.
Yeah.
That's super cool because it's different.
Yeah.
And it fits in AOS as well because of the carriage and overlords. So that works well.
Yeah, it has the portholes, right? So you can sort of look. It's almost like you're kind of in an airship, like an Overlord's airship.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. The Arcanaut.
Yeah.
We named it, and that's exactly right. And
that's
then
awesome.
we have this. Let's see. We have the Vatarak, which is like a Forge World kind of manufactorum feeling studio, and the last one, which I say for last on purpose because it's the Chaos Studio.
Nice.
And there's 4 walls, each one dedicated to one of the 4 gods of chaos.
Very nice. Awesome. Yeah, and so between that and then the hall, I mean, so the hall holds 60 players. Are you having events like, every weekend or every other weekend, or is it?
It's, well, right now, because we work in conjunction with the gaming store attached, they actually hold a lot of events. They hold a couple a month. In the very least, there's a couple. And we're open nightly for local gamers to come in and game doing different things. We did, let's see, what's that one World War II game? Not Flames of War, but there's another one.
Bolt Action.
That's it, yeah. We had one of those recently, and then we have AOS events, and we kind of have smaller events just to get the local crowd kind of warmed up to the bigger things that we have planned in the future.
Nice. So it's bigger things in the bunker. So do you have anything like big things you're thinking here?
So we've actually had, let's see. So we had our first, I want to call it our first official event that we just finished. And it was an event that I hosted, and it was the Resident Evil Warhammer 40K Immersive Narrative Campaign Experience.
Okay.
And so with this, there were guests that stayed in the bunk rooms for 6 nights. It was 5 days, 6 nights. No, that math doesn't work out. 7 days, 6 nights, 7 days. There you go. Yeah. And it was in addition to the wargaming tabletop bat reps that were filmed, there's also live action actors that were interacting with the players out of sequence, outside of the actual battle reports. And so that enhanced and elevated the experience of the players to a whole new level, something that I wanted to try. I've had this in the back of my mind to try this for a long time now. Over a year, I had this idea to do this, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was, but hands down, my favorite campaign that I've ever done all time. I just can't even describe the reactions of the players and the experience. And the goal was to create a unforgettable experience for the players.
Yeah.
Right. And being a Resident Evil fan, being a Warhammer fan, I just used the 40K rules for it, and I had models converted to be Resident Evil characters, and each player represented one miniature on the tabletop, and they experienced, they leveled up, and they worked as a team, and they killed zombies, and they fought against the Umbrella Corporation. It was awesome.
Yeah.
This was really cool.
Yeah. So it's a role playing experience as well, or it's a live action role playing experience. Really, it's taken it beyond just a tabletop game where you're rolling dice. Then
that's correct. Yeah. And so there was there was interactions that were planned, and then there was spontaneous interactions. And sometimes they were in the battle reports. A lot of times they were not in the battle reports, but they still counted towards the campaign, which was fun. And I actually used the bunker itself, where they could find clues to different items of war gear that they would add to their characters. And so that made the interactive experience of the bunker itself that much more paramount and important for people staying at the bunker.
Nice.
So that was cool.
Yeah. Nice. Has that, I guess, that sounds like story has always been something really important to you, and you've made some short films as well, and you've done some acting. It sounds like story has been some of the things that really is kind of important when it comes to even just wargaming then.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that absolutely. We are definitely a narrative channel.
Yeah.
We're definitely more narrative than we are competitive. In fact, I would say we are not competitive at all. I mean, to each their own. I have nothing against competitive players or competitive play, but that's just not our style. It's not my style. It's not something that we cover. And I find that with the narrative games, they are more evergreen in that you can watch campaigns that are editions old because you're watching it for the story. you're not so focused on the additions of the rules.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. Like you are to a point, but it doesn't detract so much so that you're like, oh, I can't watch this because it's in an old edition.
Yeah. And how? I mean, even in the old editions where the game was really unbalanced. I mean, to be honest about that. You still really did put a lot of emphasis on more of that casual narrative play. How do you define casual play? What does casual play kind of mean to you, and how do you keep it that way with the bat reps that you produce?
So I would define casual play as being guided by rule of cool, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. So if you think something is cool, bring it, even if it's not the most tactically sound for your army.
Yeah.
And also, just at the end of the day, doing things in the name of fun and for awesomeness' sake. For example, if I'm going to charge in and kill stuff, and Khorne loves it, I would much rather do that than win the game, because in my mind, I have won because I did something amazing in the game.
Yeah.
So casual gaming to me is just like, rule of cool. You just play for fun. You're not mathing it out in your head beforehand necessarily, right? You're just kind of, going with the dice, going with the flow of the dice gods.
Yeah.
And, see where it brings you.
And you're kind of doing the things that your army should do. Like from a lore perspective, a Khorne army is going to charge forward. That's what they do.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah. And I guess obviously the experiences you prefer have always been sort of casual or narrative play. Then that's even like from the very beginning when you first got into the game.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that is something that I just naturally gravitated to. Because I'm not a good competitive player. That's not how my mind works. I think in stories. And so I'm like, okay, well, competitive play is not for me. That's why I've played less than 10 games of War Machine. That's certainly a very competitive game and attracts competitive players. I'm like, you know what? This is not for me.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more of a 40K player where I can really focus on the characters and the lore and the richness and the scenarios and all of that.
Yeah, and you've so much so that you've been inspired to take that beyond the tabletop. I mean, that's the ultimate. So it's an immersion of of everything, like an immersion of story. Like your actual senses are sort of. I imagine the Resident Evil thing you just talked about would almost be overwhelming for some people. Like that. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting because I put out a fair warning to anyone who would be a potential candidate for the campaign. And the warning was all rooms are in play except for the bathrooms, right? That's the only sanctuary in the entire place, right? All rooms, including your bunker bedroom, is in play. And, a zombie could burst in your room at 2 a.m. And just so you know, that is within the realm of possibility. And for each player, a few days before they arrived, I just confirmed that with them. I said those exact words, and I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how okay are you with this? 1 being not at all, 10 being bring it on.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of bring it ons. So it was good. So it just gave me license to kind of do whatever the imagination could think of. And one of those situations just happened to include a zombie underneath one of the beds of the players. When they got home that night, they were greeted by a ghoul, and it was an amazing experience, which will be posted later, details given. And that's just so much fun. It freaked them right out, but they had a great time,
That's
right?
Awesome.
So it was one of those positive, stressful experiences that you never forget.
Nice. Very nice. Now, I guess you talk about kind of like vetting some of the people to make sure that this was an experience they wanted, but there are people that show up to Mini Wargaming and they show up to play or challenge you guys. How do you keep the bat reps sort of balanced? How do you make sure that the fun is always kind of front and center? Because I could see somebody showing up with a list that's just, they may want a competitive match, and that's not what you guys are doing.
Right. So I think because we are a narrative casual channel, the viewers that we attract are more so casual and narrative.
Yeah.
And so it's actually really rare, I find, that there is a competitive player that comes to Mini Wargaming. Like, we each have a certain degree of competitiveness in us.
Sure.
But I'm talking about like tournament players that that's what they do.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is, I haven't actually seen that yet. What we do beforehand is we actually build our lists together. A lot of times we do this. We don't do this every time, but a lot of times we do. We see what the army of the opponent has. And then, for myself anyway, I like to build my list with my opponent so that we can look at the two armies and not tell who's going to win by looking at the armies.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Because of the amount of models that we've collected over the years, we have every army on hand, and we have fleshed out armies in each army. So we could basically create whatever we want. And if we really, really wanted to, we could craft the cheesiest, most broken list that exists, but that's not fun. That's not fun at all. So the idea is to have fun and to make an entertaining video, and to have a good for the guests to have a good experience.
Yeah.
So we try our best to do that. Now, if they want a challenge, then we can build up to it because we have the flexibility to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously knowing what is good too, but it's great that you sit down and work and build a list with them. I imagine most casual players, that's probably what they should be doing. They should be talking out during the list building phase almost. Like, hey, let's make sure that our armies are balanced against each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens in varying degrees.
Yeah.
Depending on the day, right?
Yeah.
Like, if a content producer, if they're working on a certain army and they're kind of just building it up and they want to try it out for the first time and they don't know what it does, then they're kind of going into it blindly, which is fine. So whatever the result is, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But that's more so rare though. It's rare that there are those beatings of like at the beginning of turn 2, you call the game. That's rare.
So one of the things that I think is really challenging is to create a narrative kind of casual event, and you have something that you're going to be doing that I thought it's probably one of the most innovative things I've heard, and that is Gorkamorka. So tell us a little bit about that.
So Gorkamorka, which is coming up very soon in this coming October. Let's see, what are the dates? October 21st to the 25th. And what we're doing there is it's a 5-day event. Myself and Luca, also another content producer from Mini Wargaming, we will be hosting it. We will be the content producers filming the battle reports. And the first of the 5 days, we will be building war bands together. So I'll be building my truck with my boys. It's all custom. There's a mountain of sprues that we've collected over the years.
Nice.
And it's really a stupid, it's like, picture Scrooge McDuck, like going for a swim, and like, that's how much sprues we have. It's crazy. It's nuts. It's really, we want to put it to good use, right?
Yeah.
So, these players that sign up for the event, there's actually 3 out of the 6 spots are taken. So there's 3 left. They're going to be building their own custom board band. We provide all the miniatures. And first day is building, second day is painting, as well as some demo games for those who haven't played the actual true Gorkamorka rules, which is based off of 2nd edition 40K. And it's super cool because there's a lot of rules associated with your truck.
Yeah.
You can crash them into things, you can fall off and get hurt. It's crazy the stuff you can do. And then the last 3 days are filming the battle reports.
Wow.
And so there's 3 games a day. That's each actually. So that's myself and Luca. So in the end, there's 18 games in total that will be played in the campaign.
Wow.
And also, we have a couple sponsors for it. One being Battle Foam. So every participant in the campaign gets a Battle Foam bag.
Nice. Oh, okay.
So and also Table War. Every participant gets a Table War fat mat.
Wow.
At the end of the campaign, and that's just to add value to the event.
Yeah.
Right. It's not an event that you necessarily win a prize at. Prize at the end. Like there might be a trophy with something crazy on the trophy. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet. Whether I'm going to have it made or 3D printed. Whatever the case may be. But it's really just it's a fun event just to see how much destruction and carnage you can do, because the Gorkamorka, they are the orc gods and they determine what happens on Gorkamorka, and it's going to be awesome. And I also have to say this. I have to say the Goth Rockers. So for those of us who have heard of the Goth Rockers, they play their death metal music, right?
Okay.
And they go to different conventions from time to time, and they play They have different gigs that they play. They actually came up for the Mini Wargaming grand opening a couple months ago, and it was awesome. And so they're going to come up. Rather, I'm going to build my war band after them, and the names of the characters will be the names of the band members, and their weapons will be their instruments.
Yeah, awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration behind this this event you're throwing? Because, I mean, Gorkamorka, everyone I've ever talked to said it's just fun. It's just a really, really, really fun game. But what inspired you to do the whole building, painting, playing kind of trifecta there?
I think it's, in the past we've done 2 seasons of it within Mini Wargaming. Yeah. Right? And it was so much fun. I actually didn't even do the first season. I did the second season. And since I got bit by the Gorkamorka bug, I've seen how much fun it is. I'm not an orc player, but you don't have to be an orc player to have fun playing Gorkamorka.
Yeah.
And I thought that, how fun would it be if just for a week or for 5 days, you kind of just relax, don't have to think about anything else. You're part of this campaign, this orky campaign, and you're just like doing some wild, crazy stuff with a bunch of wargamers. It's definitely a vacation of sorts, right?
Yeah,
so for the few players that have signed up thus far, they can look forward to that. They can look forward to just a fun, relaxing, goofy vacation where it's all immersed in this world of Gorkamorka. There's going to be a lot of orky goodness that come out of it.
Well, I mean, just sitting around and building models with your friends or painting models with your friends is actually, because so much of that is a solitary experience, but when you add other people, it's really kind of fun. It's neat. It's actually kind of a nice, it can be a kind of a fun social experience to sit and build and paint with people.
Yeah. That's something that I've done a little bit of that. Not a whole lot of that with other people. And I thought, you know what, it's been a long time since I've actually done the hobby aspect of this hobby.
Yeah.
Right? It's been a number of years. And so I wanted to do that. And I wanted a good excuse to do that. And I think Gorkamorka is the perfect excuse.
Nice. Awesome. Are there any other sort of innovative formats you're excited to try? You described 2 extremely innovative ones. Is there any others?
Well, we're delving into podcasts a little bit.
Nice.
So one of the reasons why I think I've been, it's kind of like perusing the podcasting circuit. I want to call it, because I mean there's a lot of great podcasts out there, yours included.
Yeah.
I listened to yours. I stumbled across your podcast, and I was exercising one morning, and I listened to it. I'm like, you know what, this is entertaining. I like what's being said here. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of your episodes you talked about a bunch of books, Black Library books.
Yeah, we had a whole Black Library episode.
Yeah, and so it was that episode that actually inspired me to start listening to audiobooks. To the Black Library books.
Very good. Awesome.
And so, particularly Aaron Dempsey Bowden and his books.
Oh, yeah.
And I have now just about to finish my 3rd book, Betrayer.
Oh, yeah.
And so good. And, honestly, it was because of your podcast.
Oh, that's good to know.
I was listening to you guys giving your opinions about like different books and people that should get into it, kind of listen to it, and it just adds so much more flavor to the game. And you know what? I'm kicking myself because I should have done this years ago.
Oh yeah.
Because it adds so much more flavor to the hobby.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
It really does. Like I understand. Like I'm starting to really appreciate the people, they build their army a certain way, or heck, the reason why they collect an army.
Yeah.
They just like the lore.
Yeah.
Right? Like I like the lore, but it's always been like Codex lore.
Yeah.
It's never been Black Library, like richness lore. And so, speaking of that, and speaking of different formats, and I had this idea of having another kind of format series, if you want to call it, and it's doing video book reports. And so imagine this, if you would. Imagine there is instead of a battle report, it's a book report, and it's a Black Library book. But I don't want to just like kind of sit in front of the camera and talk about it. I wanted to do it in a kind of, hopefully it would be an entertaining way where they can watch the video, be entertained by it, be interested in the book and want to participate in the book. And then at the end of that video, I post what the next month's book is going to be. And then people kind of jump on to reading that book. And then the next month will be another video posted of, the book report of it.
Yeah. Yeah. The Mini Wargaming Book Club. Yeah.
Yeah.
You should definitely do that. I just finished the Night Lords trilogy, by the way, and that one is amazing. And I'm not even a Night Lords fan. I'm not even a particular fan of Chaos. I'm an Eldar guy, but ADB his stuff's just amazing. It's just incredible.
Absolutely. And I don't know about you, but like, what's the name of the actor, the voice actor who did Black Legion, Betrayer? I think his name is
Jonathan Keeble. Is that usually?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep, it's Keeble. That's right. Okay, so first off, extremely talented guy.
Oh yeah.
And the way he talks is kind of like you're listening to Liquid Silver.
Yeah.
It's like it's so cool to listen to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And when he, like for Black Legion, that was the first one that I listened to because I wanted to start with Aaron Dembski about it and also Chaos.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then what a great book to start with, just because Keeble does such a great job. And when he does Abaddon's voice, so awesome.
Yeah.
It just gave me chills when I listened to it. And it was like, man, come on. I found myself like, because the writing is so clever too, right? And I find myself, I incidentally listen to the books all the time. So I'm exercising in the morning. Or taking my Fleshhound Ruby for a walk around the block. Like I'm listening. And so I'm reacting, and to an onlooker, it would look weird, right? Because I'm like, I'm not talking to anyone, but out of nowhere, I'm like, oh, I'm just laughing to myself because that was really clever, or whatever. But it's talk about immersive experiences. That is an immersive experience.
It is. It definitely is. And that's why, I mean, when I'm painting or I'm building, that's when I like to listen to it the most, because you're sort of hyper focused on the model, and you're getting inspired by the actual, by the book itself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Well, Dave, thank you so much for talking with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and when you when you have a podcast come out, you're going to let everybody know, right? And then the book club sounds like something you really have to do.
I actually, if you don't mind,
go ahead.
I have started a podcast.
Okay.
And it's actually the Shrine of Chaos. I converted it into a podcast.
Nice. Okay.
So I've been doing the show about 5-6 years as a live show.
Mm-hmm. And
the format lent itself really well to the podcast because it's really, I'm just not doing anything on the video. I'm just talking to the camera. So it's really, it's all audio anyway. So
yeah.
I've converted it to a podcast. It's available wherever podcasts are available.
Excellent. Yeah. And I guess, the thing about an audio medium is you can get really creative with it. And there's limitations, but that's kind of the cool thing about it. And for somebody like yourself, it just feels like it's a natural.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, Dave, have a great night.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Bye. All right, so that was Dave from miniwargaming.com. Now let's take a break and let's hear a word from our sponsor, TraderA.com. If you're like most Warhammer players, you own a ton of models. At one time, you had big plans for these models, but now they just kind of sit, gathering dust, unused and unloved. It's time to clean out your closet of shame. Visit TraderA.com and get cash for your used models. TraderA is run by Captain A, someone who's been in the community a long time and has done a lot to grow the hobby. He's also a personal friend of the show. Unopened boxes, models on a sprue, half-built models, primed, painted, even bits have value. The process is simple. Send him a list of what you have, he'll send you a quote, you pack it up, send in your stuff, and he'll get you cash. You can shop around, but you're going to find that TraderA gives you 40% more than the other guys. You want it quick, you want to get rid of it, visit TraderA.com. Get cash to buy the stuff that you really want. TraderA.com. Sell your models and get your cash quick and easy. All right, so I think that we probably should start off with like our history of the 40K game. And then, Colin, tell me a little about like when you first started playing 40K. Like, obviously, you probably played when you were younger, but when did your first real play group, like outside of like maybe a couple friends, like who were they and what kind of games were you playing?
My first play group back to the hobby was at Gamescape North in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like narrative. It was a mixed group.
Okay.
So it was kind of narrative, but like with an edge. But then they would have like small little ITC events and stuff. And there were a couple guys that played in the store that were like Baby Seal clubbers. So it was mixed, but the people that I hung out with, and I think what's always informed my hobby side of things is narrative.
Yeah.
Is getting, I don't collect armies that I don't
like the look of. Yeah.
I don't like the look of, or I don't like the lore. I don't like, there has to be a hook for me. I can't just be like, oh, I'd love to paint Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
I think they are amazing. I think the new range is going to be killer. Nah, they just don't grab me as an army. There's no...
You can appreciate the model quality, but it's like, I don't really want to, if I want to push them around,
So for me, it started off when I got back to the hobby with Assault on Blackreach, playing orcs.
Yeah.
And I've been an orc player for most of my life. When I was younger, I was playing orcs, Space Marines.
Yeah.
And so I came back with orcs and Death Guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the era of like Death Guard bikers and stuff like that. Yeah. And built like this huge Green Tide army. I think it was like 200 models.
Yeah.
And, each clan was painted up and it was a lot of fun. So we'd have in general a narrative type group playing book missions and just kind of getting together, every couple weeks.
But they weren't people going to events. They weren't playing. Or maybe they're,
So a couple, like I said, the couple guys would go to, like they go to BAO or they go to LVO, not necessarily playing the championship, but they play at LVO, but they certainly weren't like going to Nova or going, far afield to, and which at the time, Frontline was still in Martinez, which was only 45 minutes from where we were gaming. So there's a heavy kind of Frontline presence, but we weren't like traveling to RTTs and stuff. We weren't like driving down there or anything. So, and when we would sit around and we would talk about the hobby, it was always narrative. It was always, I like this. This looks really cool. I'm thinking of painting this. I'm thinking of converting this. So those were always the discussions we had. The discussions were never like
this list,
this combo, this Death Star, this blah blah blah. It was never the discussion. It was always, hey, what are you working on? What's cool? What's fun? What are your plans? So philosophically, that's always kind of been my approach.
Yeah, and then you moved to Boise.
And then I moved to Boise. So that was a gaming group that most of the time that I was in. That when I got back to the hobby, when I was still living in the North Bay, and then after we got married, my wife and I moved to the South Bay, and I didn't have a gaming group for a little while, and then I met Carl and Brian, Adana, Justin, and everybody from Independent Characters, and they were forming kind of a new group. They were kind of reforming a regular gaming group.
Yeah.
And so I met all those guys, and that was heaven.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just everybody had themed armies, everybody was chill, and we just kind of relaxed and rolled dice. And you painted what was cool because you liked it. And, then we'd have discussions about, well, maybe that's too good. Yeah. Maybe that's not fun to play against. So that was a consideration.
Sure.
And it was just really relaxed and fun, and had a lot of the best games of 40K I've ever played were make narrative missions. And I mean, we were really, Carl made this one mission where there were buildings on the table, and then if your unit moved into the building, there was like a 2 foot by 2 foot Zone Mortalis board off to the side, and then you're like corridor fighting in the like it was really cool. Obviously it wouldn't work in like match play, but those were the kind of things that we were kind of throwing around.
And that was also, this is 7th edition, right?
7th edition.
And so that 7th edition, for those of you that weren't around for that, it got a little crazy.
It was super crazy.
There were only a handful of ports in the storm. You either you went in on the crazy, or you did what I did and you did a taste of it, but not full in, or you played 30K. 30K was huge at the time, or you had, like you said, like a really dedicated group to just playing a certain casual way.
Where you just we consciously avoided the crazy.
Yeah.
We consciously made a decision to say we are not engaging in all that silliness.
Yeah.
And it kept the game kind of more even, and it just kept it light.
Yeah.
Like there was no arms race. There was no, those kind of edge rules cases and stuff like that. And we were all friends, so that helps too, because then you'd be like, are you sure that's supposed to work that way? You're like, yeah, but I don't really want it to work that way because that would be dumb. So, we're just going to ignore that. Yeah. It created a really nice atmosphere to game in.
Yeah. So then you came to Boise.
I came to Boise. I did attend my first competitive event, which was a BAO, I think 3 years ago. And that was eye-opening.
Yeah.
And I took a list that wasn't terrible. I won more than I lost, so that was good.
Yeah.
But it kind of, at the time, cemented to me, like, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do competitive play. I'm a narrative guy. This is just crazy.
Sure.
The atmosphere at BAO is a little try hard.
Sure.
So it was a huge turnoff for competitive play.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just how those events were.
Yeah.
If you went to a competitive event, it was going to feel like that.
Yeah.
Because that had been my experience.
Sure.
So I moved to Boise, and Boise Cup was the first real... It was about a month after I moved here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sold you some neophyte hybrids.
Yep.
And you're like, hey, are you coming to Boise Cup? I'm like, I don't know. Because I didn't really want to do
competitive
BAO again.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're like, no, it's chill. Talk to Aaron. So I talked to Aaron.
Yeah.
And I had an absolute blast.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You're at fault for all my Thousand Suns
stuff.
Everything.
Yeah.
So you're like, what would be really good is if you just took Magnus. But I took, the first time at Boise Cup, I took Zinj Demons with Armon and 2 Demon Princes, and went 3-2, which was fun.
I kind of think this edition lends competitive play to be a little more fun than it did before. Like, I think competitive play in last editions, you played only certain lists, and you had to have that, or you just weren't. And you saw the same stuff over and over again. Yeah. And they were just the power curve difference between a list that was picked out of from a lore versus a hyper optimized list. The difference was massive. Now, there's still the lists that really do well.
Right.
But you can still take things and not have a horrible time, not get just destroyed like you did.
Yeah, and it's not, I think in 8th, you're not relying on edge cases as much as you were in 7th.
Yeah.
Like in 7th, it would be like, well, yeah, it can do this because it's worded like this.
Sure.
And you're like, yeah, but
it's getting cleaned up.
So it creates this kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
Where somebody's explaining why this edge case just ruins your day.
Yeah.
Versus 8th, where you're like, wow, that's just a really powerful stratagem, and I got everything lined up and played the strat.
Yeah. And it just feels like that's the way it's supposed to do it. Yeah. If something's powerful, that's by design. It's
right.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Right.
As
right.
they say.
Right.
Yeah.
So it did make it easier, just mechanically.
Yeah.
It made it easier. So I had a really good time there, and then started playing with the gaming group because I like all you guys.
Yeah.
So over the last year and a half, just been gaming, and we do ITC missions and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've said this a lot, is I game with the people I enjoy gaming with.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And I just happened to meet a bunch of guys that I like hanging out with, and girls, Izzy, that play competitively.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just if we all played. If I walked into the room and we were all playing, book missions and flufftastic, then that's what I'd still be doing.
Yeah,
just because I enjoyed hanging out with the people in our gaming group.
Yeah,
so
agreed. Yeah, so I mean, my own experience, I started off with casual as well. I mean, there was a casual group here that you game with friends, you game with people you meet, and I only really played the same group of guys for the longest time, and I would eventually go to some events here and there, but it was kind of like, I mean, it was I was a little nervous because I'd never played outside of like the 3 people that I'd only ever played with, and the first time you step out of your comfort zone and play in an event like that, it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but I enjoyed it, and I played a lot of casual events here until I took a trip to Salt Lake and got my butt handed to me by Harlequins because I thought I was going to be kind of cool, I'm like, I'll run these guys, and then at the time I realized that even though I had been playing the game for a while and I'd been painting for a while, I didn't really know how to play the game that well. Like, I didn't know the mechanics that well, so I wanted to go more competitive just because you see a lot of the competition and the people that will push your skills a little bit in the competitive ranks. In a casual event or casual play, you're just sort of, it's okay if something happens. It's not really a huge deal. So you're not getting better, I guess, as a player, but it will push you to get better as like a painter and get better as like, building interesting lists. But I've found that I'm not naturally a competitive person at heart. I mean, I didn't play organized sports. I don't get upset if I lose a board game with friends. I mean, it's not my thing, but I do like to be challenged individually, and I think that's what that provided. However, after having done it for I mean, my first 2 LVOs, I first went into a narrative event, and then I did a friendly event, friendly then a narrative. So I've only been competitive like the last 3 years, maybe. So just a couple years on you. I enjoy it because I like the competition, but there's a point where you do just want to go back and just throw dice. Yes. And it's like nostalgia. It's like I want to just play a really nicely painted army that I enjoy, and not worry about optimizing it, and not optimize it, not have to sit there and crunch it. And don't get me wrong, the crunching part is fun, you know, to list build and go, ooh, this is going to be cool, this is going to be good. At some point, it gets tiring.
Yeah, and you're not crunching during the game.
No.
Either.
Yeah.
Which for me is a nice relief. And we've talked about like doing Age of Sigmar. Like we've been talking about trying to find ways to do that even outside of 40K.
Yeah.
But during the game, there's a lot of processing that you have to do.
Yeah.
And there's a certain point, and we've talked about this before, where competitively you're going to reach kind of a skill ceiling for yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you have to start sacrificing these golden calves to get past that skill ceiling.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about this between you and me. Like we both take a lot of pride in how our models look and how they're presented and painting them well.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that and keep up.
Mm-hmm.
But also you're not switching armies because they got a new codex and it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And you're not, for me, I'd rather spend time painting than reading somebody else's codex and trying to figure out what they can do, what I'm going to see, kind of analyzing lists for the other 17 factions that I don't play. Mm-hmm. And that knowledge base is something you have to build up if you want to kind of up your competitive. You have to know what the other army is going to do.
Yeah, so you have to be up on it. Yeah.
And keeping up with that is another time commitment.
Especially with the rules they have coming out. I mean, there's a lot of stuff
every
coming
month.
out now.
Yeah,
so
every month is just rules. And I've found that when I go up to an event, go up to a table at an event, I need to ask, like, okay, what's kind of your threat band? What's kind of your movement band? Like, I have a general idea, but I need a little bit of help. And if players are consistently going 4-1 or consistently doing really well at events, they don't have to ask those questions. They already know.
They know, and they've played a version of your list before.
Right.
And they have practiced against it. So, and I think that with competitive play, if you're a true competitive player, then the models are just like game pieces. They're not something you take a whole lot of pride in. You will beg, borrow, and steal to pull together an army, and it doesn't matter as much. But I don't know that there's that many people that are on that end of the spectrum. Because I think if you're really a competitive type of gamer, 40K is not really your... it's not really designed for that.
Right.
It is designed for competitive play, though, and it's also... I think if you're playing it, you have to enjoy the models, and most people enjoy the models at some point.
Yeah, I think there are a few... And like when we had this discussion with Jody... was, when people think of that competitive guy, you're talking about like maybe the top 5% of people that are at any event that you go to.
Yep.
If you go to a major tournament with 60 players, maybe 5 are going to be that good that they just show up and they're expecting to compete to win. The other 55 players, there are probably 10 that are really good.
Yeah.
And then there are another 45 that are just hanging out, rolling some dice.
Yep.
I'm in the 45.
Me too.
I'd like to get in that second band of like, damn, that guy's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But I'm not willing at this point to put in the time and effort that it takes to get into that top 5%. I think focus.
It's a focus, but also you have to sacrifice to be really on the bleeding edge of interesting things.
Yeah.
This edition is a lot easier than before. Before, you really only had to play certain lists and armies and units, and if you wanted to play competitively, you had to have those in your list for the most part. Now you have a little more flexibility, but you're still kind of chasing like the stuff that comes out that's really good. So, like something that the Lord Discordance, for example, if you wanted to go with that as a list, you've got to buy 3 of those and get them painted. There's still this arms race to buying and building and painting. And if you're truly competitive, the quality of that is not something that matters as much.
Right.
But I don't want to sacrifice that.
No.
So that's the thing, is that my heart of hearts, I only want to play with models that I like the look of, and that I can paint, that I own. I don't want to borrow.
Right.
I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to make those kinds of compromises for the sake of a list.
No.
So, and I think that's what most players. Every player has things that they will do and won't do for the sake of winning a game.
Yeah, and I think we're, there are a lot of people like us in the hobby. There are a lot of people that don't enjoy painting in the hobby. So that's just not something that attracts them. So they're fine with like, okay, I just need to get this to 3 colors, and I really enjoy playing. Yeah, or contrast. But I really enjoy playing the game.
Sure,
and that's where they enjoy the hobby. So more power to them. But like we said, for you and me, it's if I'm going to paint this, I can't. I'm going to paint it.
Yeah,
I'm going to paint it to where I get it to look good, and it's going to fit, and it's going to make sense, and it's going to fit with the rest of the models that I have for that army.
Yeah,
and it's going to be painted well.
Yeah,
and hopefully it doesn't get destroyed by an FAQ or something. But but I'm not. But I also won't buy models based on some freak rules interaction.
Yeah, because you know that's not going to last.
Yeah, not in this edition. Yeah, it's not going to last. So
I will say that I found that it's a struggle for me, and I just recognized it. Painting something that I don't plan on playing, that I don't think will be good on the tabletop, and so just to paint something, just to paint it for enjoyment, I haven't done that in a while. I usually just paint things because I'm like, oh, I want to paint it to the quality I want to paint it to, but I know this will be good in this list. Or I know I'm painting to build it toward this list.
Right.
Which versus I'm just going to paint something for fun.
Right.
And I think that's kind of where that's why we have decided we want to play more casual and more narrative games, because we played an interesting casual game. I think casual and narrative, to me, people use them interchangeably. Yeah. I think narrative and casual, there's an overlap there, but to me, I think narrative is more like I'm trying to tell a story. Casual is have fun, roll dice, and have themed armies.
Right.
So that's my own definition of it. Yeah. But I think narrative is a little more stricter than just straight casual play. But
narrative, I think like narrative play, like you said, there's maybe an overarching
campaign
or something like that.
Or something.
Yeah.
But we played just a casual event. We played a casual game. I took Eldar, you took Zinch Demons, and we were just monoliths. And I was like, I really have missed these guys. I haven't played them in a long time.
Putting the demons on the table, and I was like, these are really cool.
Yeah, I really
Where did these go?
I know. And the thing is, I could probably go to an event, a competitive event, and win 2, maybe 3 games with that same list I played. Maybe. If I played my butt off. Right. And I really, really
got good matchups.
And truthfully, I'd have to make a slight couple tweaks to it.
Right.
But for the most part, it's probably a 2-3 list. But for casual play, that's not what's important. The important thing is the lists are kind of balanced against each other, or at least they have kind of the same rough output of things.
Yeah, like we kind of went back and forth a little bit before the game, and I was like, well, I'm bringing all these lesser demons and stuff. I'm only bringing 1 unit of flamers. I'm thinking about X and Y, and so there was this kind of it's important to have that discussion.
Yeah,
and one of the things that we found in our play group in San Jose was if we were just doing like a pickup game and you didn't have that discussion, it's difficult. So I think that's the challenge of playing casually. Is if you just show up somewhere and you're like, hey, I want a casual game, and somebody's like, cool. Like we had a thing at League, not last week, but the week before, where I was the odd man out that night and hanging out, and then a guy showed up looking for a game. Well, it's a competitive league, so I have like my Monster Mash Chaos with Plague Bearers and Magnus and Morty, and he was like, "Oh, I haven't played in a year, and I play Imperial Guard.
Yeah,
and I have all these tanks and like some infantry and stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, that's a really..." And they're painted, and it was like a really cool. If you're playing Imperial Guard, it looks like a cool list. It's like got 4 Russes and all this stuff. And I said, we can play. I said, but this is not a casual list. This is not a casual army. It doesn't play casual. I can't just sit there and let you shoot me. Like, I have to go forward.
Yeah, there's no way you can neuter that. Yeah, even if you dropped the Plague Bearers down to like half and took a bunch of points out of the list, it still plays the way it plays.
Yeah, it just plays the way it plays, and I can only go one direction.
Yeah.
I have no firepower, no guns in the list.
Yeah.
I have to go towards you, and if I touch your tanks, the game's over.
Yeah.
So I'm, if you want to play, we can play. I said, but it's not. There's not a predetermined outcome, of course.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, if I hadn't played in a year and I played me playing this list.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a phenomenal player.
Yeah,
but
you'd be
practiced.
Like, yeah.
But we still, like, we rolled up a book mission.
Yeah.
And, like, we just kind of had fun with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't, like, putting all this crazy pressure and swapping out powers and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I eventually got to his tanks.
Yeah.
And the game eventually ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was because we weren't able to, we didn't know that we'd be playing each other.
Yeah.
If I had known that I was going to play random IG guy who hasn't, and he was a super nice guy, like, you know, we had a good time, but I would have taken more along the lines of what I brought last week with the Zinch demons and try and do some cool stuff, and it would have been a little bit more evenly matched.
And I think it's a testament to being a mature gamer, not age, but just mature in general, is that you didn't go, great, I can win this, you know, and smash. And I get an extra ticket for a raffle, and that's you know, whoopee, look at me, how cool I am. You recognize that your lists are unbalanced and your skill level is unbalanced, and you're going to have to. You can make it fun by doing a couple things, and probably you were not nearly as playing as hard as you weren't grinding like you normally would.
Right. We weren't playing ITC mission. You know, I could have been like, okay, ITC mission 3, this and this and that. Okay,
yeah. What are your secondaries?
Taking these secondaries, taking this, taking that.
Yeah.
And
so,
it was just.
But I think you recognized it, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that's the thing that everyone talks about, the conversation. And the thing about the conversation is it's almost a holdover from 7th edition, because it was very hard to find those ports in the Storm where you can just play for fun, and you had to have these in-depth conversations. It's not quite as bad as it is this edition, but it's still that way. But really, it's just casual play is harder. When it comes to match play, it's like, well, what's in the book? Well, that's what's allowed. Great. Doing it, right? There's no question, you know, it's just, it's allowed. Right. There's not even rules ambiguities. It's like, this is how the rule works. I don't know what to tell you. I'm optimized for casual play or match play.
Yeah.
Casual play, there's a huge bandwidth of people that take pretty good lists, but they're not as experienced with it, because guard in the hands of
Brandon Grant
can do really well, right?
Brandon Grant, you know, and that's, sorry, just briefly, but like, there's the chasing the edge case, and then there's just, you are so good with your army. Mm-hmm. Guys like Scary and Brandon Grant, and that's what they play. Yeah. I play Brandon plays IG. Yeah. No matter what's going on. Yeah. He plays IG. Yeah. And he's that good.
But he
is that good.
But he's also made unit choices. He does not take
he's
not taking Death Strike missiles, for example.
But he has a collection that's big enough that he doesn't have to chase, because he's been playing it for so long. He doesn't have to chase the edge case. He already has 3 or 6 hellhounds just sitting around, because he's just accumulated them over time. Yeah. He has 200 guardsmen. You know, so if the list changes, he can adjust without having to paint a bunch of new stuff. And as somebody that's gotten mollywopped by Brandon, he is just that good.
And I think that's probably, to me, the kind of competitive player I want to be, is somebody that has a handful of armies, like 2. Right. I have Eldar, and then I'm going to have Admech.
Shorter and shorter for me.
But I want to have a handful of armies that I have enough of a collection that I can draw from whatever's big. But for casual play too, you have to have enough units to play casually, because oftentimes if all you're doing is building a competitive list, you don't have enough casual units, right? You don't have these other easy units you can just play.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of screamers and burning chariots. Yeah. If you're playing Chaos Demons. Yeah. You don't have any of that stuff.
You don't have any of that stuff.
But it's still pretty good. Like, they're not bad.
No.
But you would never take them competitively.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're just not efficient.
Yeah, for sure. But one of the things we want to do is start streaming casual games with well-painted models that have a certain theme. And I think that's essentially what it is. It's like, I think you play missions that are match play missions, meaning they're balanced, on a balanced terrain board. With well-painted armies and built around a theme. Yeah. And then to me, I think that's the most you can do, and then have a conversation back and forth to make sure that there's not like a crazy power imbalance there.
Yeah, and just go into it with the mindset of, this is going to be fun. Yeah. We're just going to roll some dice. Mm-hmm. We're not practicing for anything. We're not, like, it's a self-contained experience. Yeah. You know, like when we go to League, I'm thinking about SoCal, or I'm thinking about, I need to get better for LVO, or I'm thinking about...
You're thinking about the next major event, yeah.
So for casual play, it's so nice to just say, I'm going to go hang out with Mark and roll some dice.
Sure. And then it's done.
We're gonna,
and you're not like sitting there going, oh, I got to make these changes to the list to make it better against X or Y or Z. It's like, well, that was fun. I'll just try something completely new next time. Why not? I got a shelf full of models. Why not? So
and nothing in my army can damage a wave serpent, so I just get shot off the board. And I'm going to do this really cool thing and trap these guys and do 0 wounds. So you're like, excellent. Wave serpent flies away and everybody dies. But it was funny. It was funny. Whereas if we were playing ITC and it was I would be like,
well, because because you were trying to win. The outcome is to trying to win.
Right.
All right, so that's kind of our plans for casual play, and I think that's just kind of our discussion. I imagine we'll have more on this subject.
I hope so,
because it's just something that it feels nostalgic to me to go back, because we both started. I think most players start casually.
Yeah,
they start because you don't get into the hobby. You get in the hobby because there's cool models, there's cool lore, and there's cool paint schemes and stuff, and you start to play, and then you realize I can start to play a little. I can learn more about the game, and I don't know. I just kind of drifted into competitive play, and I really like playing competitive, but I think it's nice to go back.
I am a competitive person.
Yeah.
I'm not wrapped up in it.
Yeah,
in the game, I'm not. It's not gonna ruin my day.
Sure.
If I lose a game and it's the difference between 4-1 and 3-2 at an event, it doesn't ruin my day. But in the game, I like playing competitively, but I also really like just relaxing and playing a game.
Yeah.
So
sometimes it's nice to not have to not feel a sense of pressure.
Absolutely. But you can't unknow. I knew that I could deep strike my flamers with the change caster, cast flickering flames.
Sure.
And I knew that I could do these things. I knew I could wrap this, trap it, kill it, kill a unit inside, and do these things. One of the things that's exciting when we've been talking about doing Age of Sigmar is consciously avoiding all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just saying, these models are rad. I want to paint these. I'm going to paint them up and we're going to play and just completely tune out.
It's interesting though. Yes, you learn tips and tricks on how to play the game better than when you play competitive. You don't get that if all you ever play is casual play. It's difficult to pick up on some of the nuances of the game unless you're playing at a pretty high level, or the players you're playing with also kind of play that way. But I don't think it's a bad thing, really. I remember it's
ignorance is bliss.
It is, but once you know it, it's okay. It's okay to know how to trap things and
try points
to do some of those kinds of more advanced techniques, because honestly, I think that is the skill of the game becomes more interesting. It's more of an interesting game, but you're still playing with well-painted armies that are themed against two players that kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the ultimate, is oftentimes when I played a friendly event at LVO, you run into people that haven't really played very much. And so you feel more like you're kind of having to hold back, or you're teaching them a little more versus I want to play within the edge of my skill within this list that I have taken because it's the theme list, but I still want to play well.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay it's okay to learn to play well.
Right.
And you only get that when you're playing players that really are looking to play well.
Yeah.
So
I'm
okay with that.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking at branching out from what I've been doing for the last year and a half, which is trying to play Chaos moderately competitively. And, maybe, Space Marines are all the hotness right now. But, again, I really like Emperor Spears. Love the novel. I love the color scheme. I love painting them. So, but then in the back of my mind is, well, if I paint them as Emperor Spears, I can play them as anything.
Sure.
Because they don't have a Codex supplement.
Sure.
So competitively, it's still flexible.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually, you're satisfying both, because you can play in both competitive and casual.
Right.
And actually, I think to me, that's kind of that's the ultimate.
Yeah.
I can play something competitive or complete casual, and all I have to do is tweak a couple units here.
Yeah.
And
put a couple dots on the bases here and there, and
tweak a little bit and call it a day.
Yeah. No, it's exciting, and that's part of learning the game too. Is just getting better and playing different styles. Of the game.
Yeah.
It's so different from the Monster Mash close combat chaos. to move into more shooty, combo-driven stuff.
Yeah.
And that'll force me to learn different parts of the game well.
Yeah.
I took Chaos Knights for a spin and realized I haven't practiced target priority for shooting in 2 years.
Yeah.
And like really struggled. I was having a really hard time. I thought, shooting phase is easy. That's like the easy button. But it's really, there's a lot of skill there as well. And this game was a mess because it was a skill that I haven't practiced in a long time. So that really shined a light on, where I could learn more about the game.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about what you have, what your Patreon is.
So the Patreon is something that I've wanted to do for about a year. I think I started talking about it in kind of September of last year. And at the time, I was still doing commission work. I was working, but was really looking to kind of expand. But, and like a lot of painters, I get asked a lot of questions about how did you do this? What do you use to do that? What colors should I go to for this color scheme? And, what's your recipe for X and Y? And I've always been happy to share that information with people because that's how I learned is I asked people, hey, what did you do? How did you do that? And for the Patreon, the thing about doing commission work is it's hard to get a steady income. Yeah. It's very swingy. Yeah. So part of the goal was to kind of steady out that income. Yeah. And then to make tutorials and videos and to talk about things and show techniques that I've learned to get armies painted. Yeah. And that's the theme of the Patreon is getting very visually distinct and interesting armies painted and on the table. Yeah. A lot of painting Patreons are by really, really talented painters that in non-metallic metals and they're painting display miniatures. They're spending, here's a whole PDF and tutorial about how to paint this guy's leg. Yeah. And that is phenomenal content. Yeah. It's what they produce is just astounding. But that's a very different thing. It's a totally different way to paint than the way that I paint, which is painting armies. Yeah. I paint armies, and I get what I think are really good results. Won a couple painting awards here and there, and armies that I've painted have won awards at Nova and in the Horus Heresy events. And my army won Best Painted at Boise Cup, not last year, but 2018. Came in second to Carl Payne this year. So well deserved. His army's incredible. Yeah. But army painting is my focus. It's always my focus when I'm sitting down. So what I want to do with the Patreon is to give people the tools to paint their armies in their style, in their color schemes, as well as they can. Yeah. And to up their army painting to where they get a really visually stunning army. But we're not spending 20 hours per infantry model. Yeah. Because you never get it painted. Yeah. I'd like you to spend 20 hours on a squad and be done with it and get it on the table. Yeah.
So when you see somebody who posts on Facebook like, hey, I went out to buy a pot of paint and I bought 20 boxes of stuff, you're like, I can teach you how to actually get that painted so you're not selling that in about 3 weeks because you can't finish it.
Right, because you get bogged down. Yeah, and so the Patreon is $6 a month for the entry-level tier. And that gets you access to all the videos that I'll be producing. Yep. My goal is, I think there's, at the time of recording, I think there's about a dozen videos up on the Patreon by the time this will be on air. Yeah. It'll probably be more than that. Yeah. And that's just in the first few weeks. Yeah. My goal is to produce between 3 and 4 videos a week. Cool. For the Patreon.
That's good. It's really good.
So between 12 and 16 videos a month for $6.
That's pretty good.
Really good value.
Really good value.
I think. And they're not just recipes. I'm not just saying use these 3 colors and you'll have a gorgeous looking Space Marine. Yeah. I made the first video I posted was a grayscale. I painted a Space Marine in grayscale. I spent about 30 minutes talking about why you put the highlights where you put them, and said it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter what Space Marine you're painting. Yeah, this is where you want to put the highlights to get it to look like this. Yeah, And I want to do more of those types of videos. But I also do like painting. Here's how you paint an Ultramarine.
Sure.
Here's how you paint a Custodes Guardian.
Yeah.
And here's how you paint, here's how we shade tank panels.
Yeah.
To get it to look good.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what chapter you're painting.
Yeah.
This is how you shade a tank. Period.
Yeah.
And you paint any tank. So
it's like where to place the paint. There's some like here's the paints I use, but really you could use any three.
Right.
A dark, a mid, and a high. But it's more about trying to teach people how to actually use how to take a color that they want and apply it to the models that they want to apply it to.
Yeah, and to get it to look good. And to get it to and because I think if you're just giving here's the colors I used, and then you watch me paint it. Then I put this color on, I put this color on, I put this color on, and then I do X and Y. Mm-hmm. You're missing out on the whole. Well, why?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Why did you put the color there?
It only works.
Why did you put the highlight there?
Because they can't take that and translate that to another model. It works if they're painting that specific model using those specific colors, and they can follow along and do what you did.
Right.
But you're not learning why you did what you did.
No, and you're not learning why did I use a purple wash for this gold instead of Agrax?
Yeah.
So while I'm doing the tutorial video, and they're a bit longer, I mean, each section's maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Sure.
But it's because I'm not clipping and voiceovering to, then first I did this, then I did this, then I did this.
Yeah.
I'm talking through it while I'm painting it. This is why I did this. Mm-hmm. This is why I did this. This is why I highlight purity seals up to pink. So I'm trying to give a base of knowledge about painting in general at the same time that I'm giving, here's how you paint an Ultramarine.
Cool.
You use this Ultramarine scheme.
Yeah.
So at the $6 level, it's all those videos and also eligible for giveaways. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll be, when I finish these tutorials or when I finish a model, like an example model, if it's not for my personal army or if it's not for commission client, that I'll be giving those models away to patrons. Cool. So when I finish this Custodian Guard, I'm going to put everybody's names in a hat, draw a name, I'm going to base it and send it out in the mail to a patron. I'll do that every time I finish a model that I don't personally won't be using.
Yeah, got it.
At the $10 level is the second tier, and that I'll get you an invitation to the Facebook group. Entry to a Facebook, and also the Facebook group's it's a painting page, so it's very visual. So for me, it was a really great way to interact with patrons. Yeah. Not just a one-way interaction of making posts. So you get invited to the Facebook group, and it's a painting group where you can post what you're working on and ask questions, and I'll provide feedback to what you're working on. It's not going to be super in-depth, but it may result in a tutorial. You never know. But I'll give feedback or advice. Other painters in the group will give feedback.
Makes sense.
Our friend Ben is in the group, and he's a really good painter. So he'll give advice. And I really just wanted to create a space where people could share their kind of in progress without worrying about, it being splashed everywhere, or if somebody's struggling with something or something messed up. Yeah. And, I've talked about this before, but there's and I fall victim to this. I don't share a lot of the how sausage is made in painting. Sure. If I mess something up, I fix it before I post it. Sure. I don't say, wow, I was painting tonight and this looks like absolute trash. Yeah. And I don't even my airbrush blew up or whatever it was. That doesn't always get posted. Yeah. It's the polished kind of, this is my work in progress.
Yeah. It's more of a showing off
good
versus a learning. Like this happened. How can I fix this?
Right. Yeah. And so that's the kind of space that I wanted to create in this Facebook group where people can say, my airbrush is blowing up. Cool. What do I do? Sure. And it's even because that's valuable knowledge too. Yeah. Right. And that's questions that don't always get asked or people are afraid to ask. Sure. People don't address. Yeah. And it happened in like one of my tutorial videos. There was like that little kind of catch where you get like that little clog in the airbrush and they're like hosed. Yeah. hoses the guy's arm.
I hate that.
Every time you're like, but I kept filming the tutorial.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so when this oh my gosh, okay, so when this happens, this is what you do to fix it, and this and this and that, and X and Y, and then just moved on with the tutorial.
Sure.
Because I think that's valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think there's also not a lot of that out there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would stop the tutorial, go back and refilm it.
Yeah.
So it's nice and it's pretty and it's, everything just kind of works.
Yeah.
And that's great. Everybody likes that. But for me, it's important to build that base of knowledge, because with that base of knowledge, you can paint anything.
Sure.
You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
So at the $10 level, there's a Facebook group, and I'll be doing a Facebook live chat every week where I talk about what I'm planning on working on the following week, what I want to do for the patron, answer questions for those patrons, take suggestions for tutorials they'd like to see. And it's not just painting. I go over basing, color schemes, color theory, books, whatever's going to contribute to that base of knowledge.
Cool.
And then then there's a private tutoring tier on the Patreon as well. 90 minutes of tutoring a month, and then break it up into 2 sections or 1 large session or whatever you want.
Yep.
And I will sit down over video chat with you and work on a model or work on a color scheme or work on an army or whatever it is that you want to. If you just want to talk about the latest Black Library book for an hour and a half, we can do that. But it is a painting. It is, I have a few tutoring clients. One of them has some Dark Eldar that he wants help with flesh tones. So we're going to sit down and work out this kind of cold disease flesh. Another wants to do Blood Angels. And so he wants to develop an army scheme and how to paint Blood Angels to look how he wants them to look. And another guy wants to paint Custodes. So he wants to go through step by step, have me walk him through painting Custodes and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's this focused time. And it's not just, I try to keep it to the hour and a half of video time. But of course, we talk beforehand. I'm not going to show up on the video chat and say, okay, so what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then get everything together.
Yeah.
So there's more of a relationship there than just hi, nice to see you this month. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to paint something and then bye.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to that experience working with those people and seeing their armies kind of come together over time. So
right. No, it's awesome. I mean, really, it's about, like you said, you're trying to teach people how to paint their armies, which is really it. That's the full extent of it. Versus showing off or providing interesting. It's more learning content, which I think is awesome.
Yeah,
there's not enough of it out there, honestly.
I don't think so either. That's something that there seemed to be a space in that painters Patreon kind of content market for. There's not a lot of bells and whistles. It's not a lot of it's not super, super polished. It'll get more polished as time goes on and I get more experience. But, I came to a point with my regular job where that wasn't becoming viable, and I really saw an opportunity to do this and make a go at it. And it's going really, really well so far. I couldn't be happier. So it's exciting. So there's the Patreon, and then I'm also streaming on Twitch 4 days a week. Okay. A couple times in the afternoon, a couple times in the evening. And that's obviously anybody can tune into that and chat, and I'll be painting whatever I'm working on.
Okay. So it's Legalized Mischief.
It's Legalized Mischief everywhere. So on Patreon, it's Legalized Mischief. On Twitch, it's Legalized Mischief. The Instagram is a great place to find me as well. I post, work in progress pictures and all that, but I also post, Twitch schedule and everything. And then, and what tutorials I'm working on for the Patreon, all that stuff. And, Facebook page is Legalized Mischief Productions. Everything goes there as well. The Facebook page is the best way to reach me. Is just send me a message through there. Cool. And always happy to talk, either commission work or give you some more information about the Patreon or.
Sounds good.
I'm not a hard sell kind of guy, but I'm always happy to talk about it. So
cool.
Look forward to seeing you out there, and hopefully come paint with me and learn how to and get your armies. There's nothing better than fielding a fully painted army.
There isn't. There's
nothing better than
going back to the whole
That's the brass ring for me. Is I want a fully painted army. I want when I first bought that first box for that army, I said, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
this is what I want it to look like. It's going to be awesome. And then, months and months and months, sometimes years later, you get that thing out of the case and you put it on the table and you're like, yes, like I did it. That's what I want for every one of my patrons, is to have that experience, to be like, I love this army. It looks awesome. And let's roll some dice.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Colin, for that.
Thanks for having me.
Legalize Mischief. So we love to hear from our listeners, so please feel free to message us on Facebook or email us at thebattlehosts@gmail.com. If you'd like to support us, you can help us in a few different ways. You can tell your friends about us and like us on Facebook. You can leave a review on iTunes. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/thebattlehosts. If you, for as little as $1 a month, you can help the cost of running the show. But for $3 a month, you can join our Discord chat. We're still looking at exactly what we want to do with our Patreon. We've kind of just had it as just kind of a fun little thing. We're going to start producing content soon, so you'll start to see the Battle Hosts try to kind of expand out their presence a little bit. So and try to keep pace with some of the other content producers, but also just, we have an opportunity. We might as well try it.
And it's fun.
It's fun.
So for less than $10 a month, you could become a patron of both Legalized Mystery Productions and the Battle Hosts.
You could do that. Yeah.
Only $9 a month. No. We should do a special.
We'll come to that later. All right. Thanks for listening to the Battle Hosts.
This is Colin.
Oh, no. That's not how we do it. You got to say, remember to be a better gamer.
Oh, yeah. Remember to be a better gamer.
And build a better community. Good night.
Good night.